Hey everybody, and welcome back to another book review. So I just finished Kin by Tayari Jones, um, and this book was recommended from one of the book clubs that I am in, and so this was our book this month. And I have never read Tayari Jones. I've heard that she is a phenomenal author. The way it's written is really, really good. And I did like the writing style, especially um, being told kind of from two different perspectives of two people experiencing life, sometimes together and sometimes apart, which I thought was really good, really interesting. Um, but I'm only giving this book a 3.5. Um, Part of it is I don't know. Like I just kind of struggled with this book, and I think I have this problem with the concept of just black struggle constantly. That said, I feel like this book kind of touches on like a couple different angles of things, which I'll address in a bit. So the story is about two girls, Annie and Vernice, who they call Nisi, and they grow up together in a place called Honeysuckle. And while they basically have similar lives, they're both being raised by women who are not their mothers. Annie's mother has basically gone off and left her with her grandmother, and Nisi's mother was killed by her father in a murder-suicide attempt. And so Annie gets raised by her grandmother. Nisi gets raised by her aunt. And both are kind of raised in this culture of like, yes, we raised you because you're a family. With Nisi though, like her aunt's like, I loved you, but like it's not the same as a mother's love. It's not even the same. Like her aunt just feels burdened by Nisi, and so she gets kind of raised in this situation of like, just do better than your mom, do better than me type situation. Whereas Annie is being raised by her grandmother, and you know her grandmother's a little bit more old school, and just like, you know, I just got to raise this kid, and I have to keep raising all of these grandchildren and all these girls and all these boys, and like she's raised a lot of kids, and she's tired and she's old, right? And so as they go through their young life, when they're about to graduate high school and head off to college, Annie decides to run away to try and find her mother, who had apparently come back to town and visited the bar where she sometimes frequents. And she finds out this information from the guy that runs the bar. And so she's like, I'm going to go find my mother, and I want Nisi to come with me. And Nisi's like, I'm going to college. Like you do you, but I'm going to college. And so this kind of moment of at graduation or right before graduation just really puts them on two different paths. And so Nisi goes off to Spelman, and like gets her degree, gets a husband who is semi-wealthy, and her kind of secret that's not really a secret type situation is that she and her first roommate, I don't remember if she has another roommate after that, but she and her roommate start a relationship. And so when she gets engaged to this man, Franklin, or the roommate, Joette is her name. Like the roommate's like, you don't love me. Like, why are you suddenly interested in marrying this guy? Like, I thought we were good. And so they kind of break up, and it's not like super great. In the meantime, Annie has gone up to Memphis to try and find her mom. And so she winds up working up there for several years, trying to find her mom. And she finds these two men who had rented a house to her mom. And so they don't know where her mom is, but as far as they are concerned, she has passed away. And she later finds out that that is actually a lie. And that her mom was alive or is alive. So she does eventually find her mom. And when she finds her mom, she discovers that her mom has basically replaced her with another set of kids. So she meets her half siblings, and her half sibling has the exact same name as her. So she kind of struggles with that. And then on top of that, the boys that she ran away with, or that helped her run away, she started dating one of them. She thought they were going to get married, and then he winds up breaking up with her because of the whole mom situation, because she's so focused on finding her mom. And so he's just like, that's not what I signed up for. That's not what I really want to do, or anything like that. So it kind of becomes an issue for her, an issue for them. And as backwater, Annie gets pregnant by her boss, who is a married man. And so she then reaches out to Annie, and I should say, like, this whole time they've been communicating with each other via letters. And so she reaches out to Vernice. Annie reaches out to Vernice, and is like, hey, can you help me? I'm pregnant. And Nisi tries, but it kind of backfires because she's married into this super wealthy family, and they are like, you are not helping her get an abortion. Like, that's just not what we're going to do. And she's like, yeah, but she's my friend. She really needs help. And so eventually, Nisi convinces her to go back to a place where they had stayed when they had first run away, to Memphis, where Annie and her friends had stayed, to see if they could help her, which they get a person who is a doctor, to give her an abortion. And so after that, she goes home, or goes back to Nisi and stays at Nisi's house, and overnight, because of complications from having a botched abortion, more or less, she dies. And so the end of the book just kind of leaves you loose. Like, Annie's dead, and we don't know what's up with Vernice, because she's like trying to figure out how she's going to bury her best friend. And the only undertakers in town that they felt like would not gossip about the fact that her friend died of this complication, is the family of her roommate. So she has to go talk to her roommate, and her roommate is like, I'll help you with this funeral and all the arrangements and everything, but you have to tell your husband that you and I are an item, or were an item at one point. And so it's kind of left like, sort of like she's telling him, but like, it's never really clear that she tells him everything, and it's never really clear what happens after that. So yeah, that was a lot of information for such a short book. But all of that to say, my gripe with this book is the gripe that I have with a lot of African American literature and African American authors, is just the constant struggle. And it's just like, in the character of Annie, it's just like hit after hit after hit. And she just can't really ever get on her feet. And when she does feel like she gets on her feet, or if things are kind of changing, then there's another hit. And then with the character of Nisi, it's the idea of, like, you know, the smart black girl from backwoods town, gets to go off and get married and all this stuff. And yes, she has a secret, but that secret is not really that big of a secret, even though for the time period that this is supposed to take place in, it's a major secret. And but I just struggle with the concept that like all Black people have to have some kind of struggle or some kind of like crisis of conscience constantly. Like I just struggle with it, and I know that it is, based in some level of reality. But I just really struggle with it, which is why I give it a lower rating, at 3.5. That said, I do, like I said, I love the writing style. I would be curious to read some of the other books that Tayari Jones has written. The ladies in the club have mentioned that they like her as an author. So I'd be curious. But yeah, like I think that's like my biggest gripe is just, I'm like, why can't she have something a little nicer? And it's also just one of the things that I didn't struggle with, but that I thought was a very good kind of comparison is the expectation placed on women, especially Black women, and especially at a time as the 1960s. So I don't know if I mentioned that the bulk of the book takes place in the 1960s. The girls are born in the late 30s, early 40s. They're born during the war. And so they kind of grow up in this weird period of like after war and what's happening. And then they go off to college in the 60s. And so it talks a lot about the civil rights movement, especially because Niecy goes to Spelman, so like in Atlanta and everything that's going on with that. Whereas Annie stays or goes to Memphis, and they don't really talk about the struggles in Memphis so much. It's just everybody's a drunk, which I was like, did no one have a good life? So yeah, it was just some struggles there, but overall, I liked the characters. I liked the way that it was written. The whole time I was reading, I could picture this as a play, not really a movie, but a play that would lead to like some really dope discussions. So I liked that aspect of it. Like when I can visualize a book as a play or a TV show, like we always know that that's like a good thing for me. And so the fact that I could with this one, really great. But yeah, I don't know what I expected. The other thing is because the book title was Kin, I like the whole time I was like, we're going to find out they're actually sisters or that they're actually cousins or something. And like, they just didn't know, or it was kept from them. I was just waiting for that shoe to drop, and that's not the shoe that dropped. The shoe that drops, or the reason that's called Kin is because, when they ask on the forms for, Annie's abortion, they ask for next of kin. And so she says, put Niecy as her next of kin. And I was like, oh, it's like that unconnected connection of, choosing your family, which I thought was kind of cool. But I was like really ready for like them to be long lost sisters, long lost cousins, something like that. And then I was like, oh no, that's not where we're going. Okay. But outside of that, I mean, like, honestly, it is a good book. It's just not a style I like reading, or enjoy reading necessarily, but would not be opposed to reading something else by this author, just because of the writing style that she has, was very well done, I felt like. So there you have it. As always, like, comment, share, subscribe if you so choose. Yeah, continuing to read, until baby gets here. As always, please continue to drop books or share books if you have any suggestions. And I will see you in the next book review. Bye!